Hello.
Good morning, Charlie.
Good morning. Welcome to episode 7. Here this morning we're doing self-pity, and we're going to have a little fun. And today, as well, of course, Brenda's with me. I'm Charlie Collins with Thriving Blind Academy and Blindsided Podcast, and I'm excited to be here with you this morning. And Brenda?
Hi, everybody. My name is Brenda Hayden, and I am the founder of Time for a 10. We're an emotional awareness coaching service, and we teach people how to deal with day-to-day disturbances and to reveal and change their conditioned thinking. Hi, Lucas.
Hello. Hi, my name is Lucas Northern, and I'm a human being who's very happy to be here.
Who also has a master's in speech pathology.
I sure do.
And so today we want to talk about the pit, or falling into, or attracting, or triggering self-pity. And what does that look like? What does that feel like? And what does that help drive us to do or not to do? And I'm going to share a little story about, excuse me. I traveled a lot, and for a job I was doing, and I got to the airport, and there was an issue with. I got there, and I walked up to the counter, and I don't know, but I went to pull out my magnifier. Legally blind. We won't go. We will talk a little about what self pity that brought into my life, but now I'm okay with it. I'm working. I'm using the right tools. I'm planning. I don't want to trigger that deep self-pity that crops up when I focus on lack and what I don't have, and scarcity and comparing. So anyway, I'm at the airport, and I go to reach in my pocket, and I don't have my magnifier. And I felt like instantly separate, disconnected. I felt sorry for myself big time. Like I'm blind. I have legal blindness, but with the right tools and mindset, blindness isn't an issue. It's just my thinking, and it triggered, and I panicked. I'm like, what am I going to do? I won't be able to read my phone. I won't, and then my flight. So isn't this funny? It's not funny back then, but my flight got delayed. Matter of fact, it got canceled, and it was due to the airline's issue. So they put me up in a hotel in Connecticut. So instead of, because I don't drive, I rely on train, all these variables kicked in, like, poor me. I can't believe I'm stuck here. And I called my wife, and I said, this is the situation, but here's the problem, the real problem. I don't have my magnifier. And she got in the car and drove all the way up to the airport and handed it to me. And I'll tell you, this little thing, that this little guy completely removed self-pity. Like, I was so grateful. Gratitude came back. I felt connected. I felt, I can do what I got to do. Anyone have any experiences with self-pity?
I was sitting here listening to your story, Charlie, and I'm starting to feel a little anxious because that actually seems pretty reasonable to me. to have that kind of experience when you lose something that you rely on a day-to-day basis to function, right? So, and I'm thinking about my experiences with self-pity, and they are so much less justifiable, if you will. I could easily get up, on a Monday morning and say, oh, I have to go to work today. And then it'll be raining outside, and I'll be like, oh, I can't believe it's raining. I have to drive to work in the rain. Like, that's the basis of my self-pity. There's nothing really justifying it. Like, I have a really good job. I get paid really well to do what I do. I have a car that can drive me to work. Those aren't the things I'm thinking about. I am thinking about the other side of it. I have to do this, and I want to sleep in. And so that's the forms of self-pity that I've been entertaining on a pretty regular basis. I can reel it in now, but we'll talk more about, where that comes from and why later. But that's how I experience self-pity. It's really the Ain't It Awful Club, and I'm a victim. What about you, Lucas?
Unfortunately, I've never felt this feeling, so I'm not sure why you guys had me on this morning. No, I have felt varying degrees of self-pity my whole life. And sometimes, it's been things that, things that are very true, things that are very painful. And then sometimes I felt sorry for myself for things that like I just made up in my own mind. For me, I think it started because like as a kid, like I had a rough childhood. My father died of a drug overdose, and I went in and out of homes, and I spent my whole life feeling sorry for myself and just thinking that the world owed me the love, the peace, the prosperity that I felt that I had been denied. That my problems, like Charlie, you may have problems with your magnifying glass or whatever, but my problems are 10 times better or 10 times worse. So there's just this self-centered feeling that the only things that mattered were me, my problems, my pain, my failure. And it's really like it's a miserable way to live life. It's the feeling that openness, that joy that you feel in the happiest moments of your life. It feels claustrophobic, and you get stuck in your own head. So there's big issues like that, and then there's other times when I feel sorry for myself. Like I felt sorry for myself this morning. I walked into the gym and I couldn't find my key fob, and I was like, oh, I'm so stupid. And then I was like, oh wait, I have an app on this phone thing that I carry around everywhere, and I can just do that. So it ranges from very big to very small, but it's part of you being a human being.
It is, and I think the recognition, the awareness, I'm starting to go into me and about me. And I love that you said that, Lucas. It's like, oh yeah, I'm sure that sucked for you, but let me give you my 9 other ones that are way better than your one suffering. And that's when we fall into comparing. Brenda, you said victim. Ooh, boy, when you keep saying have to, it's like victims use that language. I have to. No, you don't. You choose to.
Exactly.
You choose to get in the car and drive. And oh, by the way, you have a license. Aren't you lucky? And you choose to go to a job and make a difference and work and play full out and help others. But we fall into me too. I mean, this sucks, I say. Or what's wrong with me? Or how come this always happens to me, never for me? Of course, that does move to it's a quicksand. Self-pity is a quicksand. It's self-absorption. It's I can't see outside the lens of me. And I can't, you might be, you might have fallen, you might have gotten to, oh, too bad. I don't really care about you because I've got to tolerate me. And I'm not of service. I can't live free of that bondage, that pity. What a word it is, but that self-pity. It's like people that get up. Okay, me, I should say, but I am very aware of it outside of me now because I've owned it. I have looked it face to face and said, ouch, this doesn't serve me, nor does it serve the people around me. Maybe Lucas, when we were talking, you said, I like to make sure that others notice it so they feel sorry for me. Join that pity party. Just it's going to be okay. Oh, thank you. Let me go have some ice cream. Let me feed this pity.
Mm-hmm. You know what? You bring up a really good point, Charlie. Excuse me. Allergies are starting to kick up with the spring coming in. So you bring up a good point, and so did Lucas. It's the All About Me Club. So I would only see the world as it related to me. I could only see what was happening to me. I really couldn't even see the whole world. And when I'm living in this little box that's just actually from the neck up, and this is the box, any small thing that happens becomes a really big deal because it's happening in this little tiny space, right? And there's nothing else coming in except what's happening to me. And for whatever reason, I was listening to a couple of audiobooks on how the world is today, how the mindset is today. And it's almost fashionable to have a victim mentality and get a bunch of people to validate that victim mentality. Oh, yeah, that's awful. That's happening to you. And, oh, I can't believe this is going on again. And for whatever reason, there's a lot of camaraderie in that arena between people. It gives other people permission to also be victims. And then there's common ground for connection. There's a lot of fear going on in the world, and sometimes a lot of difficulty for people to connect. And this is a really good way to connect on, oh, it ain't an awful club. I think we talked about that a few podcasts ago. And you said something else. When you're in a self-pity mode, there's no accountability. There's none. No accountability. And I think that's more why I go there, because then I don't have to look at my part in being in the position that I'm in that moment.
Something went wrong. Please try again.
Sorry.
Well, something went wrong. Please try again.
Yeah, she's been turning on like that without any provocation whatsoever. I feel so bad. I feel awful about. Isn't that awful? It's happening all the time.
Yeah.
That's a joke on self-pity, Charlie.
I know. We were going to start having the pity party for you.
Here we are. Welcome to the pity party. Brenda, you said it's so much easier just to like go into self-pity and feel sorry for yourself rather than to take some sort of just like constructive action to do something about the problem. I think back to I got off of most social media a few years ago because I would just use social media as a tool to get people to feel sorry for me. I think social media is great. I love social media. But for me, I would often be like, oh my gosh, my job is hard, and then I would just sit there and wait for these little comments to come in with like people being like thinking about you, praying for you, you're so strong, you're so smart. And these like little hits of dopamine would hit as I got external validation from people. And, because, I never like, in these moments, like I'm not really viewing people as like, individuals with their own histories and challenges and strengths. I'm basically just viewing them as tools to make me feel better.
Yeah.
Like you exist to make me feel good. And that's a very self-centered and sort of just awful way to go through life, because it makes it hard to form relationships with other people when their primary purpose is to make you feel good and not for you to like, how can I be helpful to them?
It's an excellent point.
And we did that last week. We did I'll Be Happy When.
Yeah.
You validate me. You pray for me. You let me know that I'm on the right path of suffering. Thank you for validating that. And Brenda, you have another name for the Ain't It Awful Club.
Yeah, the itty bitty committee.
Yeah.
Or the sandbox. I mean, take your pick. There's so many ways to play in the Ain't It Awful Club. Many ways.
No, sorry. And Lucas, you were talking about responsibility, having the ability to respond to the way I feel. And do I know that the way I feel comes from the way I think? And do I know the way I behave comes from the way I feel and think? And do I have the ability to think greater than I feel? Yes. What are 3 things we have complete control over? The way we think, how we behave, and how we feel. And that's not fun knowing that. At first it wasn't. It's like, what? I've been blaming all my life. God made me this way. Too short, not smart enough. I wasn't able to go to college because smart people with good eyesight go there. I can't drive. I can't figure things out. This is always happening to me. I can't handle my liquor. Oh my God, everything I ever approached, I failed miserably at. And then I just disconnected. I don't want you to feel sorry for me. Don't even pay attention to me, because you feeling sorry for me made me felt more disgusting, because deep down I knew there was a better way, but I wasn't willing to surrender.
Wow. You guys both said 2 things that prompted this to come into my awareness. And one was that things are happening to you, right? And I see this a lot in my own life, where something will happen and it's happening to me. And then I was taught, well, what if it's just happening and it's not really happening to you? And in doing this work, and a lot of this work that we've done together, A lot of the situations that I used to ruminate about was because I was personalizing the event, whatever the event was. It could have been traffic even, or it could have been, something, I had an argument with my partner, or my child did something, and it was all happening to me. And the person I was working with, the coach I was working with, said, well, why don't you remove the to me? And it's just happening. Now, do you feel sorry for yourself? Well, when I depersonalize it and it's just happening, no. Part of when you personalize it and it becomes personal, that's when my emotions start to get triggered and I start to get activated. When I'm making it about me, and Lucas said that, and you said that too, Charlie.
Well, who else is there?
Oh, there's people in the chat. I probably should read the chat for a second. Good morning, everybody. Hi, Carrie. And Imagination, the Awakening said, birds of a feather flock together, whether it's positive or negative proclivity. Belonging is a human need that finds a way to be enforced, even when it goes against our deepest desires. Whoa, that's brilliant.
Well, all I know is that you wake up to the truth of suffering, and all I know from my life was I needed people like you guys. I needed to talk about it, not try to bring you in. See, now I'm saying, oh, something doesn't seem right. I'm not trying to bring you into my party, to my pity party. I'm not trying to, have you feel sorry for me anymore, because I realize, like you said, Lucas, yes, in the initial stage of that release of dopamine, that comfort I'm trying to do, our brains like to keep us safe. They don't like us to push against what it thinks is keeping us safe. So I realize that this really feels gross, and when I'm in this, I do more behaviors that hurt me more. And I shut the world of possibility and growth right out of it's not even present for me. It's the person that only talks about them. They say, oh, today's not a good day. Oh, I don't feel good. My this. Oh, God, I can't do this today. And oh, I have to go to the doctor. And it's like, ugh. It's like, please, what can you do today? Or the person that knows everything, the one that, bah, 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 because they're too afraid to stop for a second and let that set in, that maybe I don't know everything. I don't want to know everything. I just want to be present to. I woke up today thinking this, and does this serve me? Who do I compare to? Lucas, you do it. I did it. Brenda does it. Social media is a devastating thing. I don't use it much at all. But what I'm going at is comparing. Why do we compare? When you compare, and this is a question for those of you watching us live, when you compare, there's two things that happen. You either come out better than or worse than. Nobody compares and says, I'm the same, because why compare? And another thing is, when we compare, then we complain. I'm not, and I might call Brenda and say, I'm complaining about this comparison. I'm not telling her, but about this situation. And Brenda would say to me, why are you telling me? If you have something you need to go talk to a person that you're having an issue with, that person can help you with that. I can't. And I'm like, well, I just want to complain about it. I don't want to do anything about it. I want them just to be nicer.
I was thinking, you were talking about the idea of like everything happens because of me or to me. Like I'm always, like making yourself the victim. And one thing I've been thinking about is I've been like dabbling a lot in a lot of like Buddhist writing lately, just to explore all sorts of ideas. And there's this idea that's like, it's like super complicated, and I'm scared to talk about it because like I don't completely understand it. But it's the idea basically of something called dependent origination, which is like, like I wake up and I think that things are happening to me, for me, because of me. But really, like anything that happens to us is basically, those like Russian nesting dolls. You open one doll and then there's another doll and then there's another doll, and you keep going and more dolls, and they get tinier and tinier. Causes and conditions, things that happen. So for example, if I wake up and like my partner is in a bad mood, I think, oh my gosh, what did I do last night? They're mad at me. It's all about me. It could have been that like they got a headache in the middle of the night or something happened that day. Like someone said something to them at work, and that person was having a hard time because like they were worried about not having enough money to buy their house, to pay their bills. And like there's this endless series of causation that goes on. And I can't speak for all of humans, but I know for me, I tend to like the closest thing wherever I go, there I am. So I want to link causation to what I'm doing. But like ultimately, like I don't know why things happen. And it's most certainly not as much about me as I think it is. I hope that made sense.
Yeah, Lucas, it makes perfect sense. And there's I did a little video a while ago, and it says, "Who am I thinking about 98% of the time? Me. Who are you thinking about 98% of the time? Yourself. So how can anything I do be about you? How can anything you do be about me? It just isn't." And it's that, I think part of why we go back to our conditioned thinking, why we personalize it and make it about ourselves, is because we have all of this trauma sitting back there that isn't resolved yet. And until we, are willing to pause, process, and proceed with purpose, which is to say, until we're willing to look at those things that are driving the self-pity, the automatic going to self-pity, it's about me, it's happening to me. I have to go to work today instead of being grateful. Until we work through the things that are causing that, you talk about causation. That's kind of how our mindset is going to be when we wake up. And not to hog the mic, but in the looking at that causation, right? It's really not all that hard on a daily basis when you have a self-pity thought. And we talked about this in the podcast too. And I teach this to some of my students. When you have a negative thought, immediately balance it with a positive one. If you think about a negative thought, right? So you're in your house and all the windows are open and it's a sunny day and all the lights coming in, and you open the basement door and you take a step down, right? That's a negative thought. Now, if you balance that with a positive thought, you can still stay on the ground floor, right? With all the light coming in. But if you don't do that balancing, like, I have to go to work today, but I'm so grateful that my bills are paid because I'm working, right? So now you're not going deeper and deeper and deeper into the darkness, but you're kind of balancing it out. So that's one of the things I do when I automatically go to that self-pitying mode, because I'm still working on getting through all of those early childhood traumas and conditioned thinking that makes me feel sorry for myself and puts me in victim mode unconsciously.
Well, I'm in the right place again, and that falling victim to the belief that somehow, someday, something outside of us is going to make us better. It doesn't mean that our environment that we have control over, we can set up for success and for love and for all the things we need to do to thrive. But if I'm waiting for somebody to show up at my doorbell that has the magic pill or the solution to my self pity, I know I'm fooling myself. And I know each one of us believe deeply that we were born with some freedom in us. And I just got to take a look. Like I keep hearing, it's like, what happened? What did I do? What did I bring in from yesterday today that is unresolved? What am I putting on another human being in my home or somewhere I go that they should have acted or done a certain way? And when people don't, I take it personal. I start feeling sorry for myself. No one gets it. Oh, I don't understand, and it's like, I'm not holding up the mirror. I used to have a mirror that I was going to, of course, start a company with it. And my mirror was going to be magnified a little. And at the top, I was going to say LWAM, life with a mirror. When I am disturbed, when I am feeling sorry for myself, when I am pissed off, when I am not congruent, or when I don't feel this connection, when I'm not free of the bondage of self, I need to pick that mirror up and look straight at it and say, how can I? What is unresolved in me? And like Brenda, you said, it could be from uh, years of whatever, but at least by asking the right questions, you will start getting the right answers.
So can I share a quick story? So when I was doing this work about what you're talking about is challenging your reality. That's what you're talking about is, putting the mirror up in front of yourself. So when I was practicing this work, and because I became aware through doing the work that most of the thoughts I was thinking were not based in reality. So what I was taught to do is when I have one of these thoughts is challenge it immediately. And I would say out loud, that's not true. That's not true. Because that itty bitty crappy committee was going 24/7. And it would tell me things in my head that just weren't true. So I'd walk around the house saying, that's not true. That's not true. That's not true. That's not true. And my kids thought I was losing my mind. But by getting it up and out, right? By challenging what my brain was telling me and saying out loud, that's not true, there was a shift in my thinking.
And it's interesting. I mean, I used to until a few years ago, until I did the same work. I thought every thought that I had was more or less true, and then everyone else's thoughts and actions and beliefs were like they were living in la la land. They were drinking some sort of Kool-Aid that and they didn't know they were drinking the Kool-Aid. And I felt sorry for them in addition to feeling sorry for myself. But when you sit down and objectively look at it and ask for help from other people, from the universe, when I took time to, meditation was a big piece of this for me too. Just sitting down and getting some distance from my thoughts. It's almost like a little drone going like 30 feet above and just like watching my thoughts like float by and not getting hooked, trapped, compelled, or attached to them. And slowly beginning to realize that like maybe this world that like seems so certain, maybe it's not as certain as it seems. And once I began to crack that door open, now like a ridiculous thought comes into my head, like when like I have like an ache in my back and I'm like, okay, like I'm not going to be walking in like a week. Like sometimes it's silly like that, or like now I can like laugh at it sometimes, but it used to be like hypochondria was always a big one for me. Like I used to like I remember this one time that like I had like and COVID was really bad. Like I would get a sniffle and be like, okay, this is not good. I need to find my will. It's in a box somewhere. But all of that to say, once you begin to have some distance from your thoughts, and there's so many ways to do it. For me, a big portion of it was meditation, talking to other people, getting to realize the fallacy of your thoughts and really the fatality. That's the beginning of opening the door to, really beginning to have some freedom from the self-pity that we've been talking about.
Paying attention.
Yeah.
Paying attention to your thoughts. Shining a light, right? Shining a light on them and saying, wow.
Yeah. What I'm hearing over and over and over is don't believe what you think, but think what you believe. And that was a quote I did years ago. And and if what you believe isn't serving you, then get new beliefs. And that's possible. I used to believe I was stupid. I don't believe that anymore. But it likes to say hi every so often. I believe that I was less than because my eye disability. I don't believe that anymore. I have huge other areas of life that I thrive in, probably because of that. I'm more aware in certain areas. I don't know. I don't need to figure it out anymore. But I do question my thoughts. Is that true? Who would I be without that thought? Well, that's not fair. I'm not willing to let go of that one yet. You be quiet. And whoever you is me. And, and I love that. It's like, is this true?
Yeah. And it's important did I interrupt you, Charlie?
I'm okay.
You sure?
I'm positive.
Okay. Is this true thing and challenging your reality and questioning your thoughts? A conditioned mind can't fix a conditioned mind. So we have to do this work with somebody else who can challenge our reality system. Because I know for myself, I would convince myself I was right, because really that's all I wanted to be was right. I was sitting with somebody recently and it was her birthday and it was raining outside. And she says, I can't believe it's raining outside. It rains every year on my birthday. And I said, oh, really? And she said, yeah, I just can't believe it. And I said, well, where were we last year on your birthday? And she stopped and she paused. She goes, oh, we were in New York City. I said, what were you doing? Well, we were walking around. And what did we do? Well, we bought sneakers. I said, where were we the year before? Another sunny day story. Where were we the year before? Another sunny day story. So does it always rain on your birthday? Like, and it was that automatic. Oh my gosh, it always rains on my birthday. And now she would not have gotten to that on her own. So I just can't stress the importance of having a Charlie or a Brenda or a really good friend like Lucas, right, in your life to help you navigate challenging that belief system. Would you guys agree with that?
Absolutely. Yeah, I used to go to people like if I was having some sort of problem, like say like, I don't know, Charlie said something mean to me. And I'd come up to Brenda and I'd be like, can you believe what that Charlie said to me? Like, I think he's doing this because he's a bad person. And like, I can't handle this right now because I have X, Y, and Z going on. And yeah, just like going to people to basically get like support for like whatever lies are brewing and manifesting in my crazy little brain. But it's a real gift and a privilege now to have people in my life who I can go to. So if I go to Brenda now and be like, can you believe what Charlie did to me? And have someone maybe guide me to, seeing that those things that I think are so certain aren't so certain after all.
Yeah.
And it's a real gift to have that connection with other people and have people who you can have those genuine conversations that are, rooted in truth and humble inquiry and all of those sort of things.
Yeah.
Why does this always happen to me? And I can't believe it's raining today. And oh God, it's 63. I want it to be 67. Then I'll be happy. And it just feels like the weight of the world is this pity party I'm forming. And Brenda, you said something that really triggered me and triggers. I know I used to hear triggers are don't go down that path, but now I do very much so because I see how I can trigger a certain way of thinking, and it's not because of outside of me. It's because I had a plan that it should have been different. I went into something and I wasn't able to notice that I'm getting uncomfortable because people are being people. People are talking the way people talk. People are not. They did not get up this morning thinking, how can we disrupt and irritate Charlie? Because that brings joy to us when we see him feeling sorry for himself and not fitting in and wanting to give up. And I mean, I can go the quicksand when I get in it. Oh my Lord, it activates quickly. And I can build such a paradigm of this, of self-pity, that then I laugh at myself. Oh my gosh, you are going to go down that path. So what is the thought? It's I am in control. You must obey me. You may not intrude where you do not belong. Now, I'm not talking to somebody. I'm talking consciously to my subconscious who's trying to push up the old me that tries to run the show, but really steps into the quicksand. And then I said, no, like you were saying, Brenda, I want to go down there. I want to play in that arena. I want to get in that sandbox of poor me, but I'm not, because it doesn't serve me and it doesn't serve anyone else. And I like to ask you guys and people on when we do this every week, what is the number one fix to self-pity? Anyone got an answer? The answer is in the question, part of the answer.
So get rid of self.
Exactly. And how do we do that? By serving someone else.
Exactly.
By going to pay attention to the needs of a senior or a less fortunate because you think you got it bad. Oh, baby, let me take you into Waterbury. No offense. But there's areas of this town I live in. People got it a whole lot worse than Charlie does. But who cares about them? But then when I do, and I go down and I say, how can I help you? I don't have self-pity anymore. Matter of fact, my needs are getting met by serving somebody else. So what I love to always bring in is like when I am in the thick of it, when I am, it's like if I have that thought, why don't you go see if somebody you could help somebody? Because obviously you're not helping anybody right now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Lucas.
One thing that I do, I mean, when I get into resentment, when I get into, this is another topic entirely, but like anytime I feel sorry for myself, it always leads to resentment.
Yep.
Is just loving kindness towards another person. If I'm upset, may you be happy, may you be healthy, may you be free. And not only saying that, but going and taking some sort of action to remediate that. And, rather than feeling sorry for myself, like I feel very grateful because I have a life where, I can go out and help all sorts of people in different ways every day. As Charlie said at the beginning, I'm a clinician, so I work with kids with communication difficulties. So each and every day, I have been given the opportunity to go out and, help a child learn how to say their first word or communicate that, they want more milk when they have no other way of doing so. I have the opportunity, I do a lot of work with people with autism. So to go out into the community and, learn how to order off of a menu. And there's really there's no other fix for getting out of my head, out of feeling sorry for myself than realizing that, it's not just me. I am part of this universal collective consciousness. And, I am not this just lone wolf, struggling as I meander across the universe. I have the opportunity to basically get out of hell when I start going into it every time.
I think you bring up a really good point, and that is that we're all connected. And when I'm in self-pity mode, and oftentimes I'm in self-pity mode, if I really peel the onion, it's because I'm not getting what I want. I'm not getting what I want. And, when I'm in self-pity mode and I'm thinking that way, there's two things that's going on. I have an exaggerated sense of value of my impact on the world, right? Why isn't everybody thinking about me and what I want? I'm thinking that people are doing things to me when they're not, right? Because I'm not that important. People are thinking about themselves. They're not thinking about me. And then you talk about being of service to others. That is the way to get out of it, because then I get out of that box that I'm in. I'm in the neck up. I'm not in my heart. And when you're being of service to other people, you get out of your head and that itty bitty committee that's up there, and you get into your heart and you actually share your authentic self with that other person. And when I'm doing service with somebody else, and I don't know why it works this way. I have no idea why it works this way, because it doesn't work this way in the rest of my life, but I have no expectations of anything in return. I'm not keeping score when I'm being of service. I don't know why it works like that, but it does. And I always go away feeling there's just no better feeling. No better feeling.
I agree.
Me too. I couldn't even go to keeping score. Yeah, keeping score. It's beautiful. I can make mistakes. I can say wrong words. I can trip. I could trip over a step. I can bump into something. I can go to grab my coffee, but it's somebody else's. And I can laugh at all that now. That stuff would cripple me in the old days.
Yeah.
That stuff I can't ever go to this meeting, this place. I can't do this ever again in my life because I made a little mistake. And it's because I'm a loser and I'm blind. It's like that labeling, and that guy he doesn't rear his head, but little steps of him try to come back because he wants, I don't know if they want to bring me back to that day, that part of me, those parts of me that I've done a lot of work on healing. Brendy and Lucas, you guys, this level of service. Why don't we have a scoreboard? Why aren't we self-seeking, looking for something in return? You need to have that parade. Please post on social media how great I am. None of that even enters my consciousness, because I think it's a total connection to the quantum field of love and
Yes.
the universe. And it's not about me anymore. It's about the collective. It's about a bigger vision than I can ever even see come to reality in life. But I want to be a part of making it possible.
It's home. It's home. That space is home.
And I think we've all had these moments throughout our lives too. Like I'm thinking like just an example. So like I went to Acadia National Park last summer, and I remember sitting out there on the beach and just like seeing the stars above me and like feeling so small in that moment, like feeling like, like nothing really matters because I'm like, one person among 7.5 billion living on this tiny planet, that there's trillions of these planets scattered across the universe, and then just feeling so small. And then like I go and go to a meeting and like trip over someone's chair and spill my coffee, and like my world is falling apart. Like it's funny like how you can have these moments of insight, you can have these moments of clarity, you can have these like deeply spiritual moments, and then toggle back into self so quickly. But, like we were talking about, we have tools for a way out once we start going into the basement, once we start going into hell, once we start going, wherever we're going, whatever not good place that we're going into because of self-pity.
And you bring up a really good point, Lucas. We have these moments. And so what I do with the moments now, and I never used to do it, but I've been doing it for the last couple of years, is I write them down. So at the end of the day, I go revisit those moments. And then I used to talk about keeping a miracle book. Anytime a miracle happened, I wrote it down in a book. And it would be something as simple as thinking about a cardinal, because I have this thing with cardinals, and then one appears in the tree, right? That's a miracle. I write it down. And when I have those self-pitying days, I can flip through that book and say, yeah, or even to the previous day when I've written down something beautiful that's happened, a connection that's happened, an experience I had. And I can read it and remember it. And it takes me right out of self-pity.
We're all energy, and our thoughts are energy, and our thoughts, when we have them, it's an electrical, but it also goes outside of us. So if you've ever been in line and somebody like turns around because you're like, hurry up, man, what the hell is wrong with you? I gotta be somewhere, I don't know where, but just hurry up. And I'm thinking ill feelings about that person. Okay, maybe I'm a bad person, I'm the only one who does that, but I don't think so. And that person turns and kind of looks at you like, I'm feeling some negative energy with you behind me, what is going on? But anyway, so we have that, right? We have that ability to think love, to send out compassion, and to be around. And when I'm in self-pity, I am not projecting kindness, tolerance, patience. I'm projecting me, and me that is coming from a place of poor me. And poor me is a negative energy, and it doesn't serve anyone. So we're coming near the end, and it's like, recognize, kind of, don't beat yourself up. You're not alone, as you can tell. We're here, and there's coaching, there's people, that there's questioning process. Is this true? Do I want to go down this path? Has it served me in the past to only think about me and my issues, my problems, which really in the long run aren't that big? But I magnified the out of stuff without my magnifier. So, you know, that's what I'm walking away with. I'm just a little more clear. I'm a little more awake on the mind that is in me every day. Did it freeze?
No, I'm just taking it in. Taking it
You
in.
guys are messing with the visually impaired
Such
guy. I'm
good
like, oh
stuff.
crap.
Such good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, as part of my healing journey that I went on, I sat down, and for a year I basically wrote down every single sort of negative thought that I had about myself, about other people, many of which contain self-pity. And every single one of those thousands of thoughts had a dozen lies attached to them. And to just sit down and see the pattern of the just like the fallacy of every single like poor me thought. Because once I start thinking poor me, you know, like we've been talking about the whole time today, I mean, it becomes me, and it doesn't become you. You know, if I walk through my life, you know, so one more thing about the work that the work that I do. So I work with kids, like I said, I work with kids with autism, and the word autism comes from, I think it's Greek and Latin. I should know this, but it means autos, meaning self. And the idea that you're sort of trapped in yourself, and a lot of the work that I do with people with autism is like working on like perspective taking, theory of mind, what are other people thinking about, but I digress. So a student that I work with has an issue where if I go in and I take someone else from the room, he begins screaming, "What about me? What about me? What about me?" And I always, and you know, like sometimes throwing chairs and doing stuff like that. But and I always, you know, like in my head, I always thought, this is ridiculous. Like, why are you overreacting? But you know, upon reflection, I started thinking, and I was like, I've really spent my whole life in every single instance going, "What about me? What about me? What about me?" And you know, sometimes not throwing chairs, but I've actually done things, and this is another story for another day, that are far more ridiculous than throwing chairs while screaming, "What about me?"
Mm.
But the question I should be asking is not what about me, it's what about you? I've been asking the wrong question the whole time, and it really took a year of like looking at the patterns in my thinking to have that realization.
Mm. Mm. You know, I think part of what goes on in the world is this theme of separation. We're separate from God, we're separate from ourselves, we're separate from other people. And when we behave in that way, like, what about me? What about me? What about me? It's really part of that conditioned thinking that everybody's separate and we're not connected. And I think part of what we're saying here with service, and what you realize by doing that work, is there's connection that happens when we're in that space. And that is our natural state, is to be connected to one another and helping one another get through life together.
And I'm feeling it right now.
Yeah.
All right, peeps. Let's bring this podcast to an end. And Brenda, you kept your eye on the not the podcast. That's what this is, the chat thing.
Actually, I did not today, Charlie. Thank you, everybody who came. I'm sorry that we didn't engage with the chat today. My bad. I made a mistake. We will catch up with you next week for sure.
Lucas, we'll talk about Brenda later.
All right.
And thank you, Lucas.
Call me and we'll gossip about Brenda when we're done.
Yeah.
I love you anyway.
But I appreciate both of you. Lucas, thank you so much for coming in, taking time, and being transparent, vulnerable, and honest with us. That's what really triggers us all to move from to. And two is more freedom from the bondage of that self that we wake up with every day.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for asking me. It's a real privilege to be here.
All right, everyone. Peace
Thank
out.
You,
See you, Brenda.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.